what I said one day on the playground in 1969 in Boston, Massachusetts. I was on Humboldt Avenue, I was in a concrete playground, and actually I'm going to tell you what somebody said to me. They said, "You're it, Whitey." And I remember looking at this kid. I was part of the model subsystem. Now the model subsystem was a new program. It was a voluntary attempt to integrate the Boston schools by bringing in kids from some of the surrounding areas to help balance an inner city school. And it had been initiated with the help of a young progressive mayor by the name of Kevin White at that time. And it was a year after James Brown had a concert right after Martin Luther King died, and they thought there was going to be a riot, and Kevin White helped to keep everything from becoming a problem by working with James Brown and everything and avoiding a riot. My parents were they were unusual people. I lived in a suburb 20 miles west of Boston, and my parents were kind of hippie type people. They would take me to anti-war marches, and we used to bring in fresh air kids to stay at the house. I was in 4th grade, my brother was in 1st grade. Our parents looked at us and said, "Would you like to help be part of this experiment to desegregate the Boston schools?" And we said, "Yeah, sure." Which is part of what we were already, the crazy ride we were already on. So we go to this school. I remember there were protests the first day because some of the local people reasoned, "Why isn't my kid there? Who's that kid? He's not from around here." It was a beautiful, gleaming concrete structure, and so I was thinking about what to say to the kid who told me, "You're it," and I said, "I'm not it. You didn't tag me." Right then I'm thinking, that probably was not a great answer to give, because there are rules. There's laws in life, and one of the rules, one of the unwritten rules of childhood is, look, if you're outside of adult supervision, if you're outside of the place where there's any adult around to help you, any punishment that gets doled out in that location, you're going to suffer it alone. You are not going to go appeal to some adult and say, "Hey, this guy's about to really hurt me here," because you kind of feel like, I guess this is one of the algorithms in life, I'm going to have to learn. I'm a weak little guy, and if I don't come up with some way to get out of these situations on my own, it's only going to catch up with me later on in life. I can't really go tell some adult about it. It just seems like it's your problem to solve, okay? Well, for a little while, there were actually 2 other families in my suburban town who also thought it was a good idea to send their kids into the city to help with this project. And we actually had a carpool going on. I still remember one of the dads being really polite to the toll booth guy every time. "Good morning, how are you?" On the Mass Pike. I'm like, wow, this guy's really polite. And but the other 2 disappeared pretty quickly. The dream of Dr. King took a second place to convenience and a good night's sleep. This was not enough to deter my parents. They made a deal with the local METCO program. Now, METCO is another voluntary desegregation effort. It was a way to take kids out of the inner city and have them participate in the suburban school system. So guess what? My parents' idea was, you show up at the crack of dawn, get in that freezing cold bus where you can see your breath in front of your face, you get on this, it's a big bus with a shifter on the floor, and there's a little heater there to keep the driver warm, and they stick us back on these freezing cold green plastic seats. And I remember my brother and me, huddling for warmth, saying, "What are we doing here, man? I mean, it's pitch black out." We're like, "This is a really dumb idea." But we didn't really admit that to ourselves, so we just go in, and we didn't get home till almost dinner time. Because we're going in to the bus that's going to pick the kids up so they get back on time for school in my hometown, and we're running around this school on Humboldt Avenue in Roxbury. First thing in the morning, I remember just running down dark hallways inside the school, and every now and then being accosted by a principal who just kind of laughed and go, "Oh, how are you, boys? Have fun. See you later." And, well, anyway, one of the things that we had to do, it so happened that the METCO office was a few blocks south of the Trotter School. So we always had to go these few blocks, this little daily peregrination. And the day that I decided to say, "I'm not it," I picked the wrong guy to say that to because he was mean by nature. You know, he'd never had anybody, I think, even say something like to him before, and he's looking at me, he's like, not only am I going to kick your butt every day, Whitey, but I got a friend who on the days when I'm busy and I have other business doing, he's going to kick your butt for me. And it happened. I mean, you know. So each day, I'm walking along to the MECO office, and in the MECO office, it was a warm, it was a family environment. There were posters on the wall of Julian Bond and Martin Luther King. And they had slogans like, you know, Black Magic, Black Heart, Black Markets, all lies. The people were sweet and warm. They taught us how to dance and stuff. They kind of treated us like adopted kids. But on the way to get there, you're in this Hobbesian world of passions, desires, and appetites, and I got this guy thumping me on my backside, you know, with every couple of steps. And I'm sitting there trying to think, how do I get out of this trouble, you know? And the rule there for a kind of a young, diminutive white kid in the ghetto here was if somebody made a suggestion to you outside of adult presence and so on, the rule is you do it. I mean, if somebody says, hey, you got a nickel? You fish in your pocket and you give them the nickel. It's real simple. If somebody says you're it, you know, then you accept your new status as it and you get on with the game. I had to open my big mouth and, I don't know, stand up for my rights. Like some of these other people who thought it was a good idea to stand up for their rights. You know, I feel bad for the kid in that island courthouse, you know, because I've met a lot of judges like that, believe me. And so anyway, I said there's got to be a way out of this program, though. On some level, out of this dilemma. And on some level in my mind, I said to myself, your mouth got you into this problem. Somehow your proclivity for speech can get you out of it. And I just had to think about it. I remember thinking about it. And then one day, as this guy was about to administer my beating, we're getting to know each other pretty well. He's looking at me, he's had a job to do. And somehow my brother Jim was there all the whole time. He's not interfering in any way. You know, he's looking on with some sort of a scientific interest. And I said to him, you know, it's not such a big deal for you to be able to beat my butt like this because I'm small, I'm weak, you're big, you're strong. It's really nothing special, what you're doing here. And you know, he administered the beating that day. But you could tell that he was losing some of the passion. His love of his vocation was deserting him. So, you know, the next day, you know, it's the end of the day, the clock strikes 2:30, whatever, you get out. We're walking across, you know, toward the MECO office. And he shows up. And this time, he's got a younger kid. And this kid, you know, he's a lighter brown, he's smaller, and he's looking at me like he just lost a bet and he's learning now what the price is. You know? And I just said the first thing that came to my head. I said, I can't fight him. He's smaller than me. It wouldn't be fair. Now, you know, there were 3 drivers that I remember in the 3 years that my brother and I went to help desegregate the Boston schools. Well, for me, it was 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. For my brother, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And the first was a guy named Don. And Don was very businesslike. He was impassive. He just did what he was supposed to do, except that he would come down Route 9 and he would get to around the Chestnut Hill area and he would stop in donut shop, Boston area, Dunkin' Donuts. And he would get whatever he was having, a cup of coffee. He would always get me a chocolate honey dip donut. That was my choice. Maybe we call them a different name now, I'm not sure. That's what they were back then, and whatever Jim was having at the time. The second guy was a guy named Harry, and Harry was didactic. You know, he would say, what are you getting from me? So one day, I reached into my pocket after a long day at school, and I brought out this scooter pie, you know, that was really a series of desiccated fissures, you know, of chocolate held together by a substrate of marshmallow. I just handed it back. There you go. Harry introduced us to his girlfriend. He actually took us for a bike ride with his girlfriend. He referred to his Ford XL convertible as a Cadillac. The third guy he was kind of a doughy-faced guy with sort of a rosacea red nose, and he kind of looked at us as if we were somehow impeding his enjoyment, you know, as a bus driver. It's like somehow something we were doing was interfering with his good time. And he was just a little door and quiet. You know, my brother and I, you look, I mean, we're brothers. And we were spending a lot of time going through this rigmarole to keep our parents in good humor. And, you know, you look at this other person that you grew up with and you hate him. You just want him dead. So, you know, there'd be in the back of the bus, you know, the drives up front. And I definitely remember one day having my feet lift up off the ground and I'm flying. I mean, it's like as a kid, you always dream of flying. I'm flying. And I ended up crumpled down at the gear shift. Oh, that's right. Harry taught me how to shift gears. This guy taught me how to lay it at the bottom of the gear shifter. And I remember down there, and I remember not being able to take oxygen into my lungs. And I remember saying, "You've done it now. You are going to die." That was the first time that I ever had the wind knocked out of me. And but you know, one day this driver didn't show up, and instead a guy named Itore Bakayaki, very nice guy, showed up briefly as a substitute. And we learned that what had happened with the dough-faced driver was that he had been driving another route, and a lady's car had gone out of control, had crossed the path of his bus, and she had died when the bus struck her. So when he came back, you know, we had all heard the story, and I tried to console him, and I said, "Look, it wasn't your fault." And he said, "I killed him." You know, as I look back on the day that I said to that, you know, my tormentor, that, you know, I can't fight him. I think it was around that time. I don't know if it was that day, but it was within a day or two. Or, you know, in my mind, I'm remembering that as the day that my butt kicking came to an end. And as I think about it, I mean, somehow I triggered in his mind subscription to a principle that whatever the rules were for kicking somebody's butt on a daily basis, it no longer applied in this instance. And so the whole idea of advocacy, you know, was kindled in my head. So in a sense, and in a way, and in my head, to me that was sort of a day where the idea of being an advocate maybe took a certain kind of root in my head. And I did end up doing, you know, some stints as, you know, working with Native Americans, migrant farm workers, some civil rights work, consumer work down in Washington. And then finally just becoming an everyday, ordinary lawyer, or as they referred to it or pronounced it in the Midwest where I pursued my legal studies, an everyday liar.